Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at Teddy's Yellow Rush that was featured in the Khalim's Seasonal Cup. This deck was absolutely dominating that tournament, but what intrigues me about the list more is how it plays. Like, it's not quite your traditional Yellow Rush. You can take a traditional line of going up to the face very quickly and just playing your guys and hitting. That it can do that. That is one of its possibilities. But what's more interesting about this deck is the inclusion of Mistral Guide. So how this deck plays with Mistral Guide is you can build lands near your orb and then use Mistral Guide as kind of like a launch cannon and just shoot those creatures from afar. And it allows you to shoot collectors into double collection position in the wells. So you have the vermin that you can, it's a 1/1 that hits the orb when it comes into play. You can then shoot that off into a collection position. You can use the dash to position your wind soldiers to collect when they're clearing creatures. So the Mistral Guide adds like a whole another level of gameplay and economy that this Yellow Rush deck can build. So it doesn't pack some of the traditional stuff like Shaitan Demons. It very much relies on hitting your opponent a lot of times with Sagittarius and the haste creatures, and then getting that big Zealous Crusader, and there's 3 of them in this deck, so that is going to be your finisher. Now, this deck can actually win longer games, so not very often Yellow Rush has the opportunity to win like super long matches unless they have a few Zealous Crusaders for like the late game. This deck can collect so much Faeria that it can just kind of outlast your opponent and then wait to drop that Zealous and then finish them off. So, like I said, this deck can do a lot of things that Yellow Rush hasn't been capable of doing in the past. So that's why it's interested me, especially seeing it being piloted by such an expert like Teddy in the last Seasonal Cup. So let's get into some matches and see how this deck performs. We've just had a ladder reset, so everyone's going to be scrapping at rank 10 to try and get God rank. Alright guys, into our first match. We're playing first. It means we can get Sagittarius down relatively early. I don't mind keeping Flash Salmon for the cycle with the Saggy, and then we just mull and hopefully find a Mistral Guide very soon. This deck is very interesting because it can play from both here, like this region of the board, using Mistral Guides to launch stuff up, or it can play a more aggressive style where it double neutrals up and then just goes for, typical Yellow Rush, really. So I'm going up against the Duke of Prunes, the Dickleton. Not like this, he says to me. Not like this. I might actually just go for an early Sagittarius here. I can go like Saggy, and then I can get like another Desert here on the next turn. Let's see if see, he's like, is it a mirror? Is it a wind soldier? Is he playing the mirror? We could potentially be playing the mirror. It's going to be a wind soldier. And it's like, oh, it's Monstrosity. I see. Right. So this is a deck that Dickleton actually used. He actually used it in the Khalim tournament. Actually going for a bit more of an aggressive line there with the Wind Soldier into Monstrosity. I did actually open myself up to Wind Soldier, but I was open to Wind Soldier anyway. I'd rather force my opponent to have it. He's going to back out, take a collection. Maybe drop something here for me to have a fight with. I'm a big fan of this card. You guys should know if you've seen some of my Monstrosity videos in the past. It's going to be a demon. Alright. It's a demon for my troubles. Let's get the old Flash Salmon down. We'll take a hit. And we'll pass the cycle this to another Soul Drain. So we're picking up a lot of our removal at this point. It's not really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in finding maybe a Mistral Guide or just maybe another Sagittarius to get things going. I have an answer to this now in hand in Wind Soldier Soul Drain. So say this does get a bit too big for me to deal with on board. I have from hand a way to deal with it. What is next from our opponent? Could just take the clear. Maybe he has a mobility trick to finish this off. Desert here. Mistral Guide of his own. Okay, it's a card that I want. Takes the clear, pushes this to 8. And then just going to pass. So Sagittarius is picked up. We're not quite at monstrosity one-shot me just yet. That isn't a thing. I can just answer it now if I choose. I will go for a draw. We'll take this guy, and we will go for a removal now. Problem is, the guide can move here, make a desert, and then shoot this guy across. So like a Wind Soldier could come here, zip, zip, goodbye Sagittarius. So maybe we actually kill this instead. Maybe, I don't know. That's a tricky one. Because if I do kill this with double Soul Drain, I do remove my option to kill this from hand. I'm just so vulnerable to Wind Soldier. You know what? I'm vulnerable to Wind Soldier anyway. But this offers a lot of collection. Because my opponent could just move here, make a wood land, hit this Wind Soldier. So I feel like I just Wind Soldier this one. Let's do it. We'll step onto this desert. So if a Wind Soldier is available, let's see if we see a move here now, it's definitely going to be move, desert, Wind Soldier, zip across and clear. But we did see a Wind Soldier earlier. So the likelihood of 2 Wind Soldiers being in hand now is very unlikely. Well, so I don't know. I think we just play it in a world where there isn't a Wind Soldier, and we go for the clear monstrosity before it becomes an issue. Because if this is, I actually have this list right next to me. This does run, unless this is a new build. Actually, this is a new build, so this was running Shaitan Demons, but in the other build, we saw like Desert Twister, Flash Winds, Windbot and Emissaries, Manta Riders, stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Now, the one thing Mistral Guide offers this deck, which Yellow Rush really hasn't had access to, is the ability to plant collectors like this. Like, this isn't a great card on its own. Like, once its ability's gone off, it's just a 1/1. But if you can fly it into between the wells, it actually becomes a big problem. Oh, that's not very nice. Spirit Thefting my friend there. So Zealous Crusader picked up. I can +1 into Zealous. I've just seen 2 pieces removal. This might be the opportunity to play Zealous for tempo. So I'm basically playing a creature not at its full capacity or its full capability, because I could wait and chip away at my opponent a bit more and then play this bigger. So a tempo line here is sacrificing a long-term play that could maybe win me the game for a short-term play. So I'm using a short-term advantage here to try and gain initiative back, or trying to gain more board control. So this is what you would consider a tempo play, because I'm sacrificing its long-term gain for a short-term gain. The board presence is worth, to me at this point, playing for, over just waiting and building this up to a bigger threat later on. So I'm just trying to gain the board back. I actually feel like I'm a little bit behind at this point, because I haven't been able to really set up. Dickles had a lot of answers to my stuff, like my Sagittarius. So Zealous Crusader's job here is to either kill the Mistral Guide or allow this to hit face so I can pray. That's the game plan. We know there's a Sagittarius in hand, but by playing a Zealous Crusader as well, I also make the Sagittarius a worse play, which is also something very big for me because I need to be able to stop Sagittarius coming down and generating all that additional economy from my opponent. So it goes to the last Nightmare. So I traded 4 Faeria for 6 Faeria. So that actually worked in my favor, but I'm still in the same position I was before. That's the only issue. Now I do need another land for Spirit Theft. That is for certain. Now I could Wind Soldier this, and I think that is the play. I just need to analyze, is it worth drawing first? And I think there's not much point, because if I draw anything, I'm not going to be able to play it anyway. So I might as well take this last land, and then take the Faeria. So the card draw gives me, you know, gas for my hand, but this is like guaranteed efficiency. I gain my last land for Spirit Theft, I gain an additional Faeria, and I'm not kind of rolling the dice to see what comes out in my hand. Oh wow, it's Dustbringer Wraith. Not a card I was expecting. Double Soul Drain. Oh dear. You'll see why I don't really like Yellow Rush much. Especially when you start drawing all this stuff, all the reactive stuff, when you need proactive stuff. It's not as bad as Yellow Events. Yellow Events was a deck I really never got on with, because it was just like a hand of... It was like half the deck was reactive, half the deck was proactive. Your win condition required you to interact with the board with reactive events. It was strange. It was a strange deck for me to get on board with, you could say. So what do we want to do with this Mistral guy? I think that's the big question. We can stick it here and represent that 4 damage. I think that's fine at this point, because its ability isn't that relevant with my current hand. Paying 1 Faeria for Prayer is a sad time. And paying 3 Faeria for 2 damage is also quite sad. But on the flip side, I might be able to hit face this turn, pay 1 Faeria to gain 1 back, and then draw a card, which is something I might need right now. I also stopped that Sagittarius coming down, which is another important thing. Oh, where's he going? The sad life. So Sagittarius will come down now. It's a really, really big problem for me. Shaitan Scavenger again, just drawing stuff that doesn't help me. I don't take the Soul Drain and pass. I need like salmons. I need some salmons in my life. Come on, game. All this reactive stuff. This is like a 4 Faeria 4-3, which is not that great. I need a salmon in order to make this good. Now Dickel can start just gaining Faeria off this. This is what I should be having down and chipping away at my opponent, but didn't quite go that way, unfortunately. So now just give me the Flash Salmon. Let me get my Scavenger down for 2 Faeria. And all will be fair in the world. Oh wow, okay. So now Lion Dickleton's like, you know what, I'm going to just go in. Alright, so I was given the Flash Salmon. Thank you very much, game. I probably have to +1 here. Just so I have access to Nightmare next turn in case there's a big threat. I'm not sure what exactly could come down. Definitely not a Colossus, but I might need a Nightmare something. I'm hoping there's not another removal combo for this. That'd be really sad. Like, if he has Soul Drain Spirit Theft again, like, you can just Desert. Yeah, Desert, hit face for free, and Soul Drain Spirit Theft. Which is really sad. Really sad. I do have Soul Drain for this. It's not too bad. It very much depends what happens to this guy. Oh, has he ever Wind Soldier? Come on, man. Has he ever Wind Soldier? So I'm just not getting any lifelines here. I can just actually play like another creature. Shaitan Scavenger. No lifelines for me. I'm not allowed them. So I can just dump a Mistral guy down. But then I'm vulnerable to Spirit Theft again and Soul Drain, and these two clear it. And all that sad stuff. I'm just playing something and hoping Dickleton doesn't have an answer to it. That's the situation I'm in, and you know, gaining additional fear off my Sagittarius and this Fanatic. Couldn't even +1 Soul Drain there because of the Dustbringer Wraith. I think that's just Spirit Theft, and yep, well played. So it's very competitive right now. It's just like at ladder, like everyone's playing. All the great players like Dickleton, S, and Teddy, they're all like competing back at rank 10. I've been playing quite a lot today and just trying to get something going, but it's been very difficult to gain any kind of win streak. I'm either winning, I'm just like winning and losing, winning and losing. All the matchups are all over the place because every deck I play against is different. But good game to Dickleton. Nice to see a new version of Monstrosity. Not quite the Yellow Rush oppression that we're used to, but hopefully things will improve in our next match. Alright guys, another game. Let's see if things work out a little better. So we do get Sagittarius again. Didn't quite work out for us last time. It got Wind Soldiers and Spirit Theft. All the removal was there for Dickles to deal with anything that I could keep on board. Hopefully things will be a little different for us going forward. So we're going to take our Central Desert and then we'll pass. So I've seen a lot of blue and green today, but I've also actually, to tell the truth, I've seen a lot of everything but yellow. I think Dickle's actually the first yellow player that I've played against today. I've seen green, red, combat, regular burn, mono green, blue jump, green blue jump. I've seen all sorts of decks. It's been interesting. I've seen like Tiki Totem value decks. The start of the season's also always one of the most interesting times to play Faeria because everyone will just play all sorts of decks. Just gonna Flame Burst my guy. Feels bad, man. But we were lucky. We were able to pick up our second Sagittarius. We do have Last Nightmare for next turn, so if, let's say my opponent drops like a Ground Shaker or a Brute and doesn't have the Cypher's Wrath, I can just Last Nightmare it, shoot, and maybe I'll pick up a Salmon or something and I can start going in. Oh, it's green-red. Okay, that works out very well for us. Do I play this for tempo? I think I do, actually. I think I just jam a desert, hit, and play this as a 4 Faeria 5/5. 4/4 even, sorry. 5/5. I was thinking back to the previous game, but 4 Faeria 4/4. So just basically a glorified Mace Man. But he does represent additional damage to the Orb, extra Faeria, because we have Sagittarius active. So that's his main purpose. Again, another tempo line. Short-term advantage over a long-term advantage. Because this gradually gets worse as time goes on, as my opponent plays bigger threats. It's going to be Radiance. That's fine. We can Nightmare this. I don't have much else going on in my life, I guess. I guess I could cycle the Vermintide on the well? Or do I just hit it here and represent that extra damage on the follow-up? I could draw. I think draw is actually pretty good here. Just looking for like salmons and stuff like that. I don't know, do I use this? I don't think so. I think I just Nightmare. I was so lucky to have my Nightmare. This is one of in the deck. I think like Radiance is pretty powerful in that situation. Oh, it's a Willow into Elderwood Embrace. Okay. So now this is where this guy's gonna pay off? No, not really. I guess I could draw for a Soul Drain. It doesn't work out though. I'd need to have had drawn Soul Drain in this situation. Playing the desert here lets me collect. So this only costs 2 Faeria, but then again I don't have access to that Soul Drain. So that's fine. I think I just take another draw. I'm gonna hit. Go for a Scavenger. And go for a Vermin here. Just gives us some extra Faeria. And it also allows the Sagittarius plus... So these two guys together plus a Wind Soldier can finish this off. That's the idea. And then I have 8 damage next turn. That sets up Lethal. This could go for 9 to my Orb. We could see 9 to my Orb this turn. But I can still like shoot into it, move down, and then run into it, and then Wind Soldier. So I still have that as an option. But if it goes 9 to my Orb, I actually get a lot of Faeria this turn. Which works out just fine for me. Yeah, so I can like neutral. Push across, salmon this side. Into another Scavenger maybe. Yeah, this works out just fine. We just kind of just set up Lethal now. So this can hit here. This Wind Soldier can come across here. Go here, shoot. To another Scavenger. And we have Lethal in hand. We have double Wind Soldier. But that all comes down to us having the Nightmare. Like, if we didn't have the Nightmare, there's no way I would have won that game. That would have just been game over. So I'm not sure if this was a green-red rush from my opponent. But I think my opponent felt that trying to outrace me with the Radiance was the best idea. And actually, if you're watching this, that was a very good line. Like, that was playing to a good out there. I'm going to play Radiance, and if you can't deal with it, you're going to die in 2 turns. And I luckily had the Nightmare, so a bit unlucky there. But good game. Get a win. That's great. I didn't get to show the Mistral Guide stuff, unfortunately, but this kind of just shows you how the deck functions as a normal aggro deck. So let's go on to another match. Alright guys, into another match, playing against Jay Yori. I'm going to have hard mulligan here for a Mistral Guide or a Sagittarius. And we found both of them, right? So I get to show you how this deck functions from your Orb, which is a different way to play the deck. And we're going first as well, which I quite like with this opener, because you get to set up that 3rd desert here nice and early. And we get to play basically Sagittarius on 2, desert here, Mistral Guide here. Move to collect, and then we use the Mistral Guide as a launch pad to send creatures up to our opponent. But our opponent's playing Rush. Why? Come on, man. Why would you do this to me? I finally get the dream, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna smoke. It feels bad, guys. Finally got the dream. Like I said, new season. Ladders kind of all over the place. Very rare I'll play the same deck twice in a row. But then again, Faeria's been like that recently. A lot of different players are just playing what they want, really. The meta's quite open in terms of ladder play. Mountain, okay. So yeah, let's just take the Mistral Guide and go for the Pew Pew. So this is actually okay. Our opponent didn't play a creature. We managed to get a hit off, which allows the Zealous Crusader to go to a 4/4, which gives me the option to dash the Zealous Crusader as a flyer to this position next turn. But I can also do that with Mistral Guide if I want to keep the Zealous Crusader for a little later, because I don't have to use this as a tempo line. This also gives Mistral Guide a bit of leverage when answering the board around you. Like Sagittarius is the thing I want to protect. Mistral Guide is expendable because I have another Mistral Guide in hand. That's the only reason. But 11 Faeria, 2 mountains, all sorts of nasty stuff could go forward here. I'm just hoping it's not a Queen's Guard Gift of Steel. That is a true nightmare. Not the last nightmare, but a nightmare at least. So what's next from J-Yori? J-Yori's probably trying to figure out... I think J-Yori doesn't have an optimal line, because it looks like he's trying to navigate around the Mistral Guide. So Brigand is coming down into an Ogre Battler. Oh, man. That's so gross. I don't want to fight this. Draw. Oh, man. Saddest times. So in this situation, I'm in a miserable spot facing this very early. Without the nightmare, I don't have the nightmare to save me this time. So now I'm trying to weigh up what's more important to me, a Zealous Crusader or a Mistral Guide, and I think the answer is Zealous Crusader. So I'm gonna fling a Zealous Crusader maybe over here. I guess on here I get to collect off the well. I'm gonna pass. So I'm just hoping the combined power of everything I have on board is enough to kill this Ogre Battler, which suddenly is right next to my orb. This is not a conventional red rush card, to say the least. You don't often see Ogre Battlers. What is it? 8 Faeria? I much prefer to play the Cobbled Warlord in a red rush build personally. But the taunt has made my life quite awkward. I can't deal with the Brigand, so the taunt is paying off in this occasion. Now my biggest fear is Cypher's Wrath, or Gift of Steel, or Flame Burst, any removal. I'm playing against red, so my biggest fear is everything in my opponent's hand. It's really difficult to play sometimes on this day, on the ladder reset day, just because everyone's playing, everyone's start climbing again, and everyone's just using whatever deck they want, and some decks just thrive in specific metas. I think there's, it's funny because I was talking to some players on stream from the competitive community, and they were saying this deck has no real counter to it. Maybe, I don't know, I don't think it's as bad as players make out. Like, it's definitely a deck that is strong. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a very powerful deck, but I think one thing to consider is the deck does need a good pilot. Now I do have my last nightmare here. I can use it, and I think I will, just because I can get off a Khalim's Prayer this turn, which is very handy. We're going to go into another Mistral Guide. So we get to fill the board up a bit now. I did lose some value, I guess, because the Ogre Battler was able to clear something. My opponent could just play another Ogre Battler, but that's fine. I can just run all my stuff into it, and then I can dash a Salmon before that happens, and then go in with that. Or I could even, like, just use this and this. Oh, it's Bargain Rush. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Bargain. Lots of bargains. Get your bargains today. So I can clear the board. I think that's probably worthwhile. But I'm not getting any pressure going. Let's take a draw. Wind Soldier. I think it's actually worth going for another Zealous Crusader in this situation, and then just dashing it like in the center and then clearing this. So I'm just representing 6 damage next turn, plus the 1 ping from this. So because my opponent's deck is slightly greedy, even if it is a rush deck, it is a bargain deck. So my opponent's hand can get quite cluttered with high cost stuff. And we saw Brigands and Bargainers. So Bargain does have variance attached to it, meaning that it can hit a card that doesn't offer full value. So the gods of RNG can benefit me in this matchup. And this also represents, like I said, it represents 6 damage next turn. It represents something that's quite big and then can manage a bargain threat with combo removal, so I can use like Wind Soldier and Flash Salmons and stuff like that, just to help me take care of whatever comes down. And it looks like Giori's considering like mounting here into something. Maybe another guy. Okay, that's fine. I can deal with this. Oh, Mistral guy getting taken out. That's not nice. I was hoping to dash around the world here with my Wind Soldier. But we do have double Soul Drain. Double Soul Drain's pretty good. Yeah, we're going to do that. The double Soul Drain here. Hit for 6. Now we're just representing a 2-turn clock. I have a Salmon in hand, so that's an extra damage. I have a Wind Soldier in hand, so that's an extra damage as well. +1. Takes the clear into another Zealous Crusader. So we just jam another Zealous Crusader in this point. As an 8/8. So we're kind of lucky, actually, that all the Zealous Crusaders came quite early. Because in a matchup like this, that's what I want to see. I just want to see a lot of Zealous Crusaders after I've chipped out my opponent. So I do represent these big threats. So even if a Mountain came down with, say, another Ogre Battler to taunt these two up, I have removal in hand. So I have an answer to it. Mountain Meteor would be quite scary if it got reduced with the bargain. Like Mountain here, just Meteor, these dark guys hit for 5. It's actually not that bad. I can still like develop threats. But there we go. We do take the win against Bargain Rush. I was a little worried after seeing that Ogre Battler, but the Last Nightmare found its way to my hand once again. Lucky me. So let's move on to another game. Alright guys, into another match. Let's throw all this away. This is garbage. We do pick up the Mistral guide so we can play that more, not so much defensive, but I can't really think of a word like defense. It would be defensive, but it's not. We are still being aggressive, even if we're playing at our orb. But yeah, hopefully we can get another example of that, but without Ogre Battlers appearing by here very early on. So let's take the desert and we'll pass. So nothing really comes online for us until turn 3, but that's fine. We're a rush deck. We're going to be throwing fish at our opponent very soon. Oh, double commander. All right. So double commander's pretty nasty. And we pick up Sagittarius, but there is a commander there. So no Sagittarius for me this turn. So I will take a desert here. Like, this is interesting now because this goes across, right? I can Wind Soldier this one, but this will have reach on my Mistral Guide. I'm not too keen on that, if I'm honest. So maybe I explore desert and then desert here and then Mistral use the Mistral Guide Wind Soldier combo to kill this. I can dash the Wind Soldier here, double collects and clears, and then next turn I just go for my last desert here anyway and then go in with the salmons and stuff like that. So let's do that. So as you can see, I've actually planned a couple of turns in advance based on the mobility of these commanders. You know, they have charge 3. They can be very dangerous. So I'm actually planning ahead because I don't want to lose my Mistral Guide. These are quite valuable if I go for this strategy. Because if I don't use them, if I don't keep them alive, I have to completely rebuild up to my opponent. That's something I don't want to do. We'll find out what's next for our opponent. Now I do get the option to Sagittarius this turn as well, which I am considering, but I do open myself up to something like Sunken Tower. Something to think about. I think I do it anyway. Like, I think I'm fine with that. Just get it set up. So yeah, we dash this here first, and then double collect. Very nice. And then we can dash this here and give it flying. It makes no I don't think it makes really that much difference, I suppose. On a defensive turn, it could. It means I don't have to build land, so move it into a defensive position. But we might as well give it flying if we can, instead of just chucking it down here, if we can get it into the same position. So that's the idea. That's why we're doing it. Just opens up a few more defensive options if we need them. Opponent goes for a draw. Now if this moves down here, I get to shoot it and I could flash salmon it to finish it off. That's fine. I could draw Soul Drain. Kind of hoping I draw another Wind Soldier actually, and I can just keep clearing stuff. Now look at that. My opponent understands how valuable this card is. It's very interesting. So we are going to kill this, actually, because I'm not too keen on it. It's just a little sad because we can't use the Mistral Guide to dash something. I have to build a land, which I'm not happy about, really. I don't want to build any more lands in this region. But we'll do it. Now, do I use a Flash Salmon? Do I use a Demonic Salmon? That's a good question. Because these cycle for me. I have one of each, so I think I will just use Demonic Salmon this time. Yeah, because it gives me a bit of utility, you know. It allows me to pick and choose. I'm going to move this up to block double collection. So if my opponent wants a double collection, he has to build lands down and has to move into that position. So we're going to be building a lot more land now because the Phantasm did take care of my Mistral Guide. Feels bad, guys. But, you know, we'll work with it. We'll see what we can do. As long as we have this, it's pretty good. Like, even if this jumps down and gets Aurora'd, we can shoot it to finish it off. So this does open up a lot of options for us in the future. I would really like another Mistral Guide. That would be ideal. Just make life a little better for me. Battletoads. Now my question is, I think I draw. I don't need to build lands yet because I don't have answers to any of the stuff blocking the orb. So yeah, we'll take draws here. I'll take a shot at this. We can clear this out. Water Elemental finishes off, but if we have the Scavenger in the back, at least we have something down. Or we just go for the Vermin type. The Vermin, the Baron for Sky Vermin. And we can just play the Scavenger down as well. Alternatively, we can just move back and use this to block. But yeah, I think we just take this clear regardless. So playing a little slower here. But that's fine. You know, this deck can do that. This is one of the things that makes this build so unique. It can just grind you out. It can take its time. It can chip away at you slowly with Sagittarius and the Salmons. And then eventually it just drops these massive Zealous Crusaders in the late game. So it does have late game options. Just a little unconventional for a rush deck. This is starting to look like blue 7s to me. So we might see Aurora now that the Sagittarius isn't in range, but I still have a Salmon that can answer it. Now, one of the good things that this scavenger does offer me is I can step up and desert here. And this gives me a salmon route without having to build double neutrals first. That's actually a big deal. That saves me a double neutral in. It just gives me that access, and then I can take a desert here if I want to, if I need further access later on. Just takes a clear. That's cool. Might just pass here, keep the Faeria. Yeah, okay. So we are going to take this desert now, while we can. And then we pass. Collects. So if this frog decides to jump down and challenge this, I can shoot it and spirit theft it. It's not the best spirit theft. I'd rather spirit theft something like Aurora, which is a very good target for me. But protecting my Sagittarius is super important. This is a big part of how I'm going to win the game. Takes a clear. Takes a Phantasm. Okay, so playing on the Spirit Theft or Soul Drains or whatever removal options I could have. Oh, Mistral Guided's back in town. That's good to hear. Okay. This opens up a few options for us. Take a draw. We do pick up that Soul Drain for the frog, so it's a little unfortunate. Move this across. Play Mistral Guide. We actually don't need to. We could wait. We could actually wait for this. Now I have this. I could actually just block with the Mistral Guide and protect my Saggy. Because I have this aggressive land now. I think I'm going to do that instead. I don't know if this is correct. It's something I'm gonna try. I'm going to go for the Flash Salmon for the cycle. Gives us our last Nightmare. Oh! So close yet so far. I could have Nightmared and kept my Mistral Guide alive. It's hard to assess now how valuable each of these are. Like, which one is the most valuable now? For me, it feels like the Sagittarius, because it's giving me Faeria. It's hitting every turn pretty much now. Like, my opponent has not been blocking it for the last few turns. So it's representing those power-ups for my Zealous Crusader. And because I was able to get this aggressive desert here, I can now use this as an avenue to go in with my salmons. So I feel that the Sagittarius is actually more valuable here. I don't know if that's right. You know, if Teddy's watching, he can tell me. Teddy's knows a lot about this deck. He is the inventor. Oh, creation into another Phantasm, but this time 2 Phantasms in an aggressive position. So 1 Nightmare just isn't enough. That's really sad. But that's fine, that's fine. We can start applying pressure. With these guys, let's get the salmon in. There he goes. We'll go for you, our scavenger friend. Now, do I Nightmare? Like, part of me feels like I should Nightmare just one of them to stop the 5 damage going to my orb, because this can step and clear and this can hit me for 5. So yeah, I guess I could have shot Soul Drain, Spirit Theft, and then transformed this into a 5/5 instead. But it's tough. I think I have to Nightmare, just so I win the race. Like, because I'm racing right now. The more that I can stall my opponent, the better, because I haven't drawn into that Zealous Crusader yet. That has not happened. This could step and hit. which kind of is fine because I have Soul Drain Spirit Theft for it next turn. And then maybe I can play a Salmon hit and then transform that. It really depends on what I draw. Battletoads. Okay. Never Soul Drain. There's a Salmon. It's not in the position I want it to be in. It's a little unfortunate. I'm thinking what we do is we Soul Drain this. We Spirit Theft. We move up. We hit. And then we Phantasm this. And then we can even move this up. Because this can collect from either well, but in the middle position, it could actually hit something, and then I can use like Soul Drain Spirit Theft. So we're using this Phantasm as a defender, mainly because I don't have an aggressive position for it. So this can just block, it can force my opponent to land again. I could see a Dream Reaver come down this turn. That could be problematic for me. Like Dream Reaver, land Dream Reaver, hit me for 5, I'm on 5 left. It's not a good position for me to be in, but you know, I have to play like my opponent doesn't have it in some situations. This is one of them. See, look how many decisions I have to make. This is a nice way to play aggro for me. Like, I feel like I'm not just like, oh, I'm just gonna go face and play a guy that's big and just win the game, or I'm gonna go face and then sack a load of stuff with Demon Wranglers and just make 5/2s and just flood the board. This deck does require a lot of planning, and that's what I like about this deck a lot. You know, it feels like you're rewarded if you analyze the play and able to make some very good plays and reads or decisions based on what you see on board. Because I'm responding to what I see here, and I don't even know if it's right. Like it's very difficult for me to judge. But I'm having a good time just trying to figure this out. Aurora, is she coming down? No, it's another MP. God, MPs for days. There's so many of them. Man, I cannot get away from these MPs. Right, let's take a Salmon. Let's see what the prey gives us. That's a sound I like. That is a sound I want to hear in my life. I think we can draw as well. A Salmon. That opens up an interesting line. Because now we could Salmon Soul Drain Spirit Theft this. And then we also represent a Zealous Crusader coming down on one of these two guys. A Zealous Crusader, sorry, a Mirror Phantasm coming down on one of these two guys. Because we assume that this is going to go. But then again, if my opponent does decide to clear this, I can go for Soul Drain Spirit Theft on this instead, which works out just fine. So I think I'm going to step down. I'll just trade these off, and then I'll go for the big boy Zealous. So I put a lot of pressure on now. My opponent getting a bit starved out. This Vermin's been amazing. It did 1 damage, which is relevant for this guy, and of course gaining Faeria from the Sagittarius, so he paid for himself. And since then, he's just been moving up and around, collecting Faeria for me. Feels good. And now my opponent has 2 problems. The immediate problem, which is the Demonic Salmon, and then the Zealous, which represents damage in about 2 turns. It doesn't actually represent damage yet because I will need to build lands in order to get across. So what I can do, if this does decide to move and then clear this out, or land here and move and clear this out, I can go for that Soul Drain Spirit Theft, and then I can build that land ready for my Zealous to go in next turn. Now we could see Frogify come down, and then my opponent clear this out. I can still go for that Soul Drain Spirit Theft combo, and then jump the Frog into a position to start hitting. So I have some good options. This could be another Battletoads. Battletoads is really good here because it just kind of rebuilds all the economy lost. So do I win Soldier instead? I think so. Yeah, we win Soldier instead, and I'll show you guys why. So we go here, we play the Wind Soldier. This comes up. Double neutral. Take the 3 damage. Take the 10 damage. Feels good, man. And then we can Soul Drain this one. And that stops this frog from interacting with this. So even if a Frogify does come down, we're still able to push 2 damage and 1 damage with a Flash Salmon. And you see what I mean by how this deck can kind of grind things out. It's very unique in that respect. Yellow Rush hasn't always been the best. The Zealous Crusader has let Yellow Rush grind games out in the past, but it hasn't always been the best at doing it. It has happened. It does happen. But this deck kind of, because of the way it gathers so much Faeria and stuff like that, especially with this card as well, generating Faeria Sagittarius, powering this up, being able to fly in between wells and stuff, it definitely has the economy to grind opponents out and, you know, play that long game against control decks, or decks out are a bit more difficult to navigate around. Oh, Radiance, okay. Humbling Visions. Just gonna slice my damage in half there. That's a shame. Let's take a draw. That's a good sound. I like that sound. I guess we can go for another Barren Sky. To give it an extra... I don't think it's relevant, actually. I guess it is relevant because these two now will have enough to kill this. So the Barren Sky gives it plus one more attack, which means that this little Froggy and this Radiance haven't got enough together to kill this now. They need one more. But there's still the problem of this Crusader. This Crusader is still an issue. So what we might see going forward is move here, vision this one, or Frogify this one, and then just clear this and block. So maybe I needed to build land instead to stop the block and just build land here? Or did I draw? No, actually I drew into this, correct? So that wasn't even an option. Fagoro.
The sky is only the beginning.
To an in. So another Zealous Crusader would be very nice. I'd just keep drawing Zealous Crusaders. Just have 8 Zealous Crusaders left. That works for me. And one of these guys. I was joking. I was joking. Didn't have to take me so seriously, game. Come on. That was a joke. Oh man. I feel so I feel quite disgusted with myself right now. There could be an answer, to be honest. Like, it is blue. They do have some really good answers to stuff like this. You know, Humbling Visions, Frogify. But that was definitely a good draw. That's forcing my opponent to have an answer. And the Gathering Commander steal, it's pretty decent actually. I can take a lake here and then just put a commander in front. This commander represents lethal on its own. This can jump and clear. This can jump and Frogify and then clear this. So there are outs. There are ways for my opponent to stay in this match. I'm assuming there's at least a Humbling Visions in hand. Minimum. Like a minimum of a Humbling Visions. Jump there. Humbling. +1. +1 what? Emperor's Command. Heal. That doesn't really work. I still have... he has to kill this. So this has to be killed. Right. So that's dead. I pick up Soul Drain. I guess I just Soul Drain this. I'll move here, play a lake, and then I'll play the commander. Now you may be thinking, I don't need a lake to play the commander, but the commander is aquatic, so if I were to play it on a desert and it didn't turn, it's going to die. And since I have no 7-cost cards in my deck, I wanted to make sure that this commander did live long enough to at least get the damage in. And even if I didn't have Soul Drain there, I would have just hit the frog, played a lake, and then played a commander. So I would have went for board control anyway. What a game. 6 cards remaining for both of us. And Yellow Rush able to take a victory there. So well played to my opponent. That was a really good game, Turbo Rider. GG's, man. It felt so close. Those phantasms were getting me, but I was able to respond. Whew. This deck's intense sometimes. But they're on a win streak. Things are looking good. Let's play our final match and see if I can go up to rank 9. Alright, final match, guys. Let's see if we can make this a win. Now, throw all this away. We're not interested. I'm not really interested in this hand either. I would rather Sagittarius or the Mistral Guide, but we'll see what we get. You know, we can go for the desert first and then work from there. What does our opponent have in store for us? It's a lake. It's a storyteller. We get about to get memed. Oh, thank you very much. I need that. It's a good card. Are we getting memed here? Is this a meme to finish things off? Am I going to lose to Mill? Could very well happen. Storyteller number 2. Into Mistral Guide, when then I don't complain. No, it was a Water Elemental. Okay. Okay. Well, drawing the Mistral Guide now would be pretty fantastic. Nope, we didn't get it, but that's fine. We can go explore into this desert, into this Saggy, into this Splash Salmon. Take the orb. And then we can pass. Gain a Faeria and a cycle. Feels good. We're going to see a lake here, potentially jump into block. Maybe double neutral instead. Then we have the Wind Soldier to answer this problem. No need. Okay. Hello, buddy. Wasn't expecting to see you today. Okay, so now we have some great answers going forward. So we'll go for the desert here. Take the shot. Go for our friend the Mistral Guide. Off you go, Wind Soldier. Go on your little adventure. And off you go, Scavenger. Go on your little adventure. You know what? Vermintide, you can go on an adventure too. Feels good, guys. Look at that. That's a beautiful turn. This is the potential of the deck, and it's quite scary. Being able to put all this down on the board, you know, I can double collect next turn if I really want to. Probably gonna see a Zealous Crusader do some work next turn. Get into a good position. Explore. Oh man, this player's so kind to me, giving me extra Faeria. Explore. Is that another storyteller? No, it's a library. Okay. Into another library. So we're going to race the libraries. Is this self-mill? This could very well be self-mill at this point. It's a lot of salmons. That's a lot of... the fish are on sale. Let's go to the fish market. Time of Legends. Rapala. No Rapala. Okay. Say hello. Move this here. Oh, he didn't hit. That was a mistake. I forgot to hit with this. So that was bad. I didn't realize that. We'll explore. Go for it. So actually, that was a big misplay. I shouldn't have played this yet. I'm gonna miss 2 power-ups. So big misplay from me. I thought I'd hit with this, but then I didn't work out the math for the demonic salmon here. Getting a bit ahead of myself. And then, yeah. So I should have had 2 9-9s. So I'm going to take 4 damage here from the libraries. My mistakes are not going to be punished from what I can tell. We'll see. You know, Windfall coming down by salmon. This is Rapala, right? It has to be Rapala. It's an Imperial Engineer. Is this self-mill? What am I looking at here? Windfall? Rubiac? Famine? Oh my goodness. Is this it? So this is a Famine combo deck, right?
Only the beginning.
Yeah, you're not gonna kill me from there. Well played, my friend. I got to see what this deck was trying to do, I guess. It definitely looked like a bit of a meme there, but a good game. I didn't get punished for missing those 2 charges on my Crusader. Silly me, but a win streak. Feels good, guys. And that wraps up this episode. That concludes this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a very interesting build of Yellow Rush. There's room for error. There is different play styles you can go for. Traditional Yellow Rush, you can go for this Mistral Guide, catapult your fish at your opponent style build. It can win the early game through just smoking. It can win the late game through grinding out your opponent. Some competitive players said this deck is too good. But that was a week ago, and I did hold back on making this video for a week to give the competitive players a chance to find a way to counter it. I'm not sure if they have yet, but a very strong build. Will take some practice if you're not used to Yellow Rush. I could have made better decisions. I don't really know. I feel like it's quite complex, but it does feel quite rewarding, especially if you win those long, grindy games. But good games to all my opponents. I really enjoyed this episode. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe to keep up to date of when our content goes live. You can check out some of my videos from last week. I covered Red Control from SuperbLizard. I also covered Happy Joe's Blue Red Recoins. Not 2 of my best performances in playing, but definitely very cool decks. And there's also, I think I did a Blue-Green Ramp, my very own Blue-Green Ramp, which I think can be a very strong archetype if you're looking to revisit it. It was very dominant during the Oversky, but now I think it's made a bit of a return. I'll see how the competitive scene takes from it. They might just leave it alone, but I think it's very good. So until next time, guys, take care and enjoy Teddy's Yellow Rush.